What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys kind of like a weekly recap of some of the topics that I missed the second half of this week, at least talking about them in the moment. Been a bit busy, but of course we do have Apollo this weekend, TBL, Houston, and we know how major this event is going to be. Quick question for you guys too. Obviously it's a Saturday and Sunday event, 10 plus battles each day it's looking like. Would you guys like a review after day one? And then another review after day two, or one big recap at the end? I'm not going to lie, I'm leaning towards, I'm going to be doing my live Twitter updates. Twitter's always in the description if you want to see like throughout the day how I call the battles. And then after like the 2-day events are done, that's when I do my recap pretty much for the whole weekend. But if you guys want like one for day one, one for day two, please let me know. I'll try to make that happen. But obviously we have that. I want to give some of my final thoughts just going into the event before we get to just covering it itself. I want to talk about Verb versus JC. I want to laugh a little bit at the bad news interview and some of the insane stories that were told about his athletic background particularly. But first thing I want to talk about, like I said, is Verb versus JC got announced for Black Mafia Battle League. Calico did say a little bit ago that he was trying to put together Verb versus JC. I think he said that Verb was asking for like, he needed $4,000 more to get to the price that Verb was asking for. And then a random, like kind of strange timing too. There's a trailer, but there's no like graphic. It just says Verb versus JC in text. But it just pops up at like 7 p.m. one night. I don't even think the trailer has like 4,000 views. So it didn't have like a super splash effect, but Verb versus JC is obviously like a battle of value, especially with, it's hard to say like it's a Verb grudge match. Verb just kind of annoys everybody. So eventually when they do battle, it's got grudge match on it. But remember they had the face off, I think it was volume 8 when it was supposed to be Head Ice and Verb, and JC kind of jumped in and Ice was like, you know what, I don't even give a fuck about this face off, and it just turned into a Verb versus JC face off, and people really wanted that battle then. In classic Verb fashion with the pens and the writers, he just kind of like dodged it. When it comes to Nitty, Av, JC, just refuses to battle these people. But it's finally going down, and it's going down in Michigan. I forgot what part of Michigan, but it's going down in Michigan. So JC's kind of got a home game here for the A-Verb battle. And obviously, you know, Verb did his thing where He left the game thinking that he's like, oh, I'm done with battle rap. I don't need it. I'm going to go, you know, like be Rashad McCann's sidekick and make a podcast. Now he's back battling Chilla Jones, battling JC. I'm sure we're going to see him more again, check collecting. We don't know all the stipulations around it yet. Like I said, with Verb and Chilla, although I do have Chilla winning this weekend, it's got shorter rounds. I think that does play into Verb's hand a little bit. I don't believe Verb and JC is going to have like shorter rounds for that card. It's looking like it's announced kind of like as the main event. It's at least the first battle they put out, right? So if that's the case, you would think like a main event's going to get a little bit more leeway for rapping time. I'm sure JC has a lot of things to say to Verb outside of the Lux battle, which if he gets like a loud win over Verb, right? Like, I mean, smokes Verb, and it's like one of his career high top 5 JC performances, right? People always ask whenever JC does anything, because his career is kind of tied to this, you know, how does he get a pathway back to Lux? And I've always said it's kind of impossible, right? But he did really good last year, cleared out Bill, he had some good battles, and he cleared out Bill, cleared Hollow, and then Verb at home, he has the chance to kind of have this like explosive performance that's necessary. And like I do have JC winning clear. Not only do I think he's just better than Verb right now, especially whatever is left of Verb in these performances he's been putting out. But I think like the fact it's in Michigan, it's kind of the last big non-Lux plate that he's really got on the table. You know what I'm saying? Outside of A-Verb, I mean, what is the next like big battle for JC? He's always going to battle. He's got that like Warriors mentality, right? He's giving shots all the time. He'll battle anyone that's available. Shit, he's got Mad Flex coming up on the Apollo card. I think that's going to be a very good battle that he will win as well. But this might be his last chance to have like a high impact, over the top showing that like kind of takes up the news cycle for the culture a little bit. And if there is a very low percentage chance he could ever get back to like contention for a Lux battle, it would have to be him just demolishing Verb. I have him winning very clear, but for his performance to be like, he's competing against himself in a sense in terms of what could be on the other side of a Verb battle. But I don't know, I see some people, Verb's got his regular cult. It's like Verb 2-1. I just have no reason to think, especially JC in Michigan. Granted, somebody said he battled Project Prime was JC's last battle in Michigan. I remembered the past battle in terms of like a name-worthy opponent, and he kind of lost a pass in Michigan. It's a good battle. It happened on a side league. It wasn't like a big league that it happened on, but I think he even takes the Verb battle. That was like 2017, you know what I'm saying? I think he takes this like as serious as any of his top battles. And I got him walking Verb down. And if he didn't, I would be disappointed in him. I've always been a little questionable about JC in his biggest moments. But that's usually like against heavy performance type battlers like Rock, Twerk, Surf. I don't think Verb has that like explosive factor to take the room away from him, and I don't think he's writing better than JC. So it's kind of more interesting the more I talk about it. But I think it's a solid battle for whatever that card is gonna. I forgot the name of the card that it's gonna be called. But Calico seems to always land like some battles of value, and I'm sure the undercard is going to complement the battle pretty well. So look out for whatever Black Mafia Battle League's got going on in May. And like I said, we got to take a little detour here and talk a little bit about the bad news stuff, which is, of course, not something I was really saying anything about. None of it is really rap related, and I'm kind of outside of the last year and change of like a little bit of improvement, which I gave him credit for. I've never thought Bad News was that good. Actually, for a long time, I thought that he was one of the worst actively doing it, and extremely delusional. You know what I'm saying? I think of that Mr. Wavy-esque archetype where heavy on the delivery, but never really all that heavy in the content department. And obviously his name pops up on the paperwork, and I feel like he's felt the pressure of the culture, right? And he's like, well, if we want a show, let's get weird. And he has leaned fully into it. And of course, he did what any battle rapper that wants an interview with no pushback where they can say anything does. He goes and gets that MSS3 interview between Cassidy, K-Shine, here with Bad News. They let anyone say anything when they do interviews over there. But that first 20 minutes, which I have to, before we get into like the little bit of rap related stuff from it, I just thought it was too funny not to talk about, where homie asked him basically just where he's from. And Bad News goes on to tell one of the greatest string of athletic lies that we may have seen in our lifetime. Starting out, when he was 9 years old, he was playing against 20-year-olds. That's the first one. We're trending. 7 out of 10. We're trending into the non-truthful category. Then he had a 13-piece size up called the Happy Meal that he would hit people with. So he's Julian Newman. That's what we've established that right off rip. He said, I wasn't going anywhere, but when I did, I was leaving them in the dust. 13-piece move called the Happy Meal. Then he was a football star, right? Going into the 9th grade, his freshman year as a high schooler, puts him around 14 years old. Off of the merit of middle school football, he had gotten a scholarship to Eastern Carolina University. He's Bo Jackson, man. He's Bo News. We've never seen anything quite like this. It's not even to get in the fact that he said he's like, you know what? I was one of the first on golf. He's a trendsetter. He's one of the... Put everyone onto golf that was around him, and he was going to be the next Tiger Woods. He's got trophies to prove it. Somewhere along with the graduate, the scholarship over to Eastern Carolina. He was a multi-sport athlete. Baseball is somewhere in there too. And then in between all that, he was out there running the streets, man. So Bad News, pretty incredible lying. You know what I'm saying? Not believable whatsoever, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit entertained by the first 20 minutes where he was describing how he was one of the greatest athletic specimens that our world maybe has ever seen. And that should tell you the mindset of Bad News right now. And then that trickles into a couple battle rap related things. Of course, he is doubling down on the fact that anyone that uses the angle against him, he's down to like pretty much end the battle there, fight, making himself a liability. He's already not that good. He's already been caught on paperwork, which he's still standing with. The paperwork is lying. Let's get weird. You know what I'm saying? When you got nothing else to turn to, that's clearly you on the paperwork. That's your name. You did it. Number 4, the whole ordeal. It's like, well, you know what? The people that made the paperwork, they're lying. Whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? We're already too deep. He said, fuck it, I'm going down with the ship. It's comedic, it's clownish. I don't think Bad News will be, once this initial of him kind of like bringing it back up. I know in the Riggs battle he said I'll snitch again, and this like shock value of leaning into it, I think eventually that'll die down a bit, and I think he will be booked less, and then hopefully eventually not booked at all, because not only do I think rapping wise he's not that key, this isn't some top tier fantastic talent, but on top of that, just the way he's going about it now being a liability. Like, you want to fight people because of something you did that's going to get mentioned in a battle. The amount of angles we could go through, I'm not going to do the whole listing every angle that everyone stood on. We know the battle rappers that have had the most dirt thrown in their face and they've just dealt with it. And especially being like, yo, if anyone uses this completely fair, honest, and right out in the public angle on me, I'm going to shut down events. I think that's whack. And then if he did the one thing, too, that all battle rappers do when they're just saying fuck the culture. He just blamed Cody. He just, I'd be top 3 every year if I was on URL, if it wasn't for biasness. No, he wouldn't, man. You know what I'm saying? He's never been top 3 at any point. I don't think there's ever been like 1 month of battle rap where it's ever like he was top 3 in this month or in this week. Rarely does he end up top 3 on the cards that he raps on. It's complete nonsense. It's gibberish. It's foolishness, shenanigans, whatever you want to call it. But him being a 4-sport athlete with multiple scholarships and different ways he could have went is pretty hilarious, when at the end of the day, you just ended up being a mid-tier battle rapper. So that's kind of the whole wrap-up on the Bad News thing. And then, of course, my final thoughts here on Apollo, because it's going to be, I'm putting this out on a Friday. Obviously, the next 2 days will be Apollo. First thing, before you even get to the battles that I'm excited for, this whole time thing, right? And some people are, the 90, there's always something to like look to complain about, right? Because there is no 90-second rounds as a minimum. Most of these battles can be 2:15 per round, right? With a hard cutoff. And I like that a lot. I don't know why anybody would be upset about that. I think in the last few years, we've really lost control of these round times, where you'll have like mid-tier, sometimes unknown battlers opening a card, usually on smaller leagues. They have like 8-minute rounds, man. Like, replay value is important, and a lot of us watched raps that really didn't exceed 3 to 4 minutes per round, rarely. You know what I'm saying? You had your rare occasions, like, I'm not saying time's never been an issue. You got things like Clips versus X Factor is probably going back one of the more prominent examples, when Clips had that like 20-minute round to X's like 5-minute round. So time has been like a thing, but it will be here and there. Now it's like controversy after every battle. You hear Verb talking about it every battle. If you run Nitty battle, someone's rapping 3 times their amount of time. Tay-Rock with the time kind of gauging last year. Av did it a few times. So it's all over the board. I like how these other battles that are still good but not main event, or like, if they can get them done in 20-minute intervals like they're saying, and kind of like keep the runtime of the event going good, and it ends up only being like 6 hours a day, so it's watchable, and then you can kind of like do something before the event, do something after the event, and then you got the second day, because you got 2 days of raps, and that's already like kind of a lot. I'm already tired thinking about it. So if they can keep it in that like watchable runtime, I think it'll make the battles replay value better. Even the main events, I think, are only going to like 3:30 hard cutoff, not like unlimited timer. I think that could actually help the event and help the quality of the battles. But we'll just have to see if the league is able to get it done, because it's hard. I think they got 22 battles. It's going to be very hard to actually like run it that strictly. But if they can pull it off, I'm going to have to give big kudos to TBO, and I see the vision with what they're doing there. I felt like that when they announced it, and I feel like that now. Very tired of 50+ minute battles. Especially with this many. Maybe Rum and Daylight, if it wants to be that's different. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's like the centerpiece of the entire weekend. But that's interesting, and it's something I'm watching for. And then you have the battles themselves. When we look at undercard battles, I've kind of done my list and talked about it, but I'm looking at JC Madflex, Eunice versus Pass, and Jay the Nightwing versus Ill Will. There's a lot of battles to talk about on all these cards. Miss Hustle following her Hitman performance, if she'll get crazy for Real Deal. Marvin Arsenal's a little bit interesting. There's other, but those 3, JC versus Madflex, great. And then that's going to maybe help JC build some more momentum going into the Verb battle. So that's something to watch. I think the Verb battle's early May. I could be wrong. So we got like 3-4 weeks. Maybe that'll be a good, I'm not going to say warm up, because I think Madflex is going to be its own type of matchup and respectable opponent, but I like it. Eunice and Pass, there's so much talk about Eunice like 30ing him, at least from people on Twitter. I don't know if it'll be quite that. But whenever you have this like extreme take, it puts a little more pressure on the battle. So I like that. And then I have talked so much about how I think Jay the Nightwing versus Ill Will is absolutely beautiful. It's the only one on the undercard where I wish they had a little bit more than that 2 to 215 because I think it's that good of a battle. But it might bring the best out of them. They'll be efficient with their time. And then you got the main events. Real Sick versus Ilmac should be incredible. I think that's got a really good chance of being battle of the night for the whole weekend because I think that there's so much motivation on both sides. If not Rum and Daylight, I mean, that is going to be my battle of the night pick because I think that they're going to have the most kind of like I mean, the margin of error is not the word. When it comes to time, I don't think they're getting clocked hard like anyone else. I don't think it's gonna get to 3 minutes and they're like daylight. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. And I think quality wise, what they want to do right, what those two can do writing wise on a whole other world. But I think Sick and Ilmac had that same type of motivation too. And if not, Twerk and A-Ward. So when I'm looking at, obviously Rum and Daylight is what I'm going to have as battle of the night. I think it has classic potential, which is never a term I use lightly, but I think it does. And obviously I do have Nitty 2-1 going into that battle. And I'm sure that there will be fantastic arguments after the fact. I think that's one that's really going to split people up and we'll be debating it for quite some time. But if it's not going to be that somehow, if there's a clear winner over there, I think you're looking at Twerk versus A-Ward or Real Sick versus Ilmac being maybe the best battle of the weekend. But, you know, even though I did my top 5 battles video, I want to ask you guys, let me know in the comments down below, now that we're really here and Apollo Space, you know, starts up tomorrow, what are like the main things that you're looking for? Not just the main battle. Is there a performance that you're looking for? Is it something on the undercard? You know, it could be something as simple as, do you think Ace Amin's going to bring raps for Hansel? You know, it's not the biggest storyline of the card, but is there any little thing like that you're looking at? Like, are 40 and Geechee going to take their battle serious? You know, is there someone you're looking at to be the performer of the whole weekend? I know Twerk's kind of been making it a staple regularly now to be like, get on some of the biggest cards of the year. I mean, Mass 6 was a humongous card, and I thought he was the best performer of all, like 40 battlers that weekend. Does something like that happen again with Twerk or a different rapper on the card? Please let me know, but my Twitter's always in the description. I'm going to be doing updates of the event as it goes on, just giving my opinions regular, like round by round, jokes, things like that. Just, you know, my piece on it as the event goes on. And then, of course, let me know how you want me to recap it. One big recap at the end, which is what I'm leaning towards right now, or a recap for day 1 and then a recap for day 2. But I'm super excited. You know, some of these other events, when we had these big events leading up, T-Top's event, quality-wise, really was not all that, even though on paper it had a lot of big names on it. I thought One Night Stand, even with Av and Shada not going down, was like pretty good, but Apollo has been the one since all those announcements go down, and we could really, as a battle rap culture, use this being a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 event. That's really what 2025 could use right now, and I think all of the ingredients are there for it to be that great. And that is kind of my full summary of the week and what we got going into Apollo, right? Had to talk about JC and Verb. Excited to see what the rest of that card's going to look like from Calico because they've already thrown 2 good events so far, you know what I'm saying? And 3 if you include that kind of like pre-day to Winter Madness one, but 2 major events that went well. So excited, like I said, to see what else they got going on over there. Bad news, good laugh. And then, of course, you got Apollo, which, you know, like I said, you guys let me know any of your kind of like final takes surrounding it. If there's any like performers of the weekend, like anything specifically you're looking into from the beginning of the card to the end of the card, any big takeaways you're looking for. And also, shout out Frozen Bros, because I know that they've had their own situation with Hitman and that whole drama back and forth, but I do believe that's a talented pair of commentators over there. They did their best work at Mass 6. I thought that was the one event where there's a reason they've gotten kind of the hype as a team that they are, is that was really added to the events. The one event they've done where I'm like, wow, like this event would not be the same without their commentary, and they have kind of a similar almost archetype or setup here with Apollo, where I think they could really do a lot to bring overall the watchability, the in-between, the intermissions, add some comedic and like entertainment effect while also, you know, Froze being able to give the perspective of a battle rapper. So excited to see what they can do to add to commentary, and hopefully they can keep that runtime respectable both days. This event really could be as good as advertised, and like I said, we could be looking at like a classic event, which we need right now, man. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm gonna catch you on the next one, man. Peace.